running 100 miles seems impossible, and maybe even kind of crazy. And it is, but we believe in big crazy dreams. That's why we ran 100 miles. It was such a life-changing experience for us, we decided to devote this podcast to preparing and inspiring you to run your first ultra race.
Are you ready to feel the highest highs and the lowest lows? Are you ready to do what you once thought was impossible? Are you ready for your trail to 100? Thank you for joining us today here on Trail to 100, the podcast made to help you finish your first 100-mile race. My name is Jacob Bateman, and joined along with me today is my beautiful and my lovely wife, Melody.
Just like good old times.
And we're back.
Hello.
How many times have we said that? We're back. It's been
We've been so honored.
So those of you who have been with us from the beginning, we salute you. Because this has been a very inconsistent podcast, but you know, the episodes are always there if you miss us and we're not putting new ones out.
But also consistent.
Yes.
Time.
We
take long breaks, but we always come back.
We always put out about 20 to 30 episodes a year.
Yeah.
So
except last year, didn't we do more than that?
No, it was probably 20 to 30.
Was it?
I think it was actually right around 20, actually.
So, we actually are consistent.
Yeah.
We're still going.
Yes, we don't go 52 weeks a year, but we go about half the year.
Just like ultrarunning, it's a hobby, right?
Yes. It has been a passion project for us. But anyways, we are back, and we have big announcements.
We also have I voted.
Oh, and this episode is being released on Election Day.
All right. Perfect.
Yes.
So go out and vote.
Yes. If you have not voted, get out there. It is our right. It's our duty. Let's make it happen.
Yep. Just like you vote for the right person.
And hopefully if you're sad about the election results, I hope this episode helps you with your grief.
Yeah.
But
just uplifts you even more because you're celebrating.
I might be listening to it on Wednesday to help me with my grief. Who knows?
We'll see. We don't know. Also, if you're watching YouTube, you'll notice that we have Cobra Kai, strike first, strike hard, no mercy in the background. We also have a whiteboard that says, make it happen. And we also have our collection of running medals. Jacob, if you step off to the side, you can see how impressive we are. Just kidding.
Our running medals, most of those medals, honestly, they don't mean a thing.
It's lots of 5K fun medals.
There's some that do mean something, like our first 50-miler.
Our first marathon.
Yeah. Those ones are the special ones.
Yeah.
But anyways, as Melody talks about our surroundings here, we actually are in a new studio. Right now we are in the basement.
A new home.
Yes. We moved, and that's kind of was a big reason for the pause on the podcast.
Both having a baby and moving, lots of life stuff.
We moved. We had to move twice because we bought a house, but we had to be out of our other house by a certain date. So
we lived somewhere else for a minute. Jacob also got a new job.
Yeah. So. We are actually no longer in the state of Utah.
Yeah, we are now
4 miles.
Oh, boys.
4 miles across the border into the great state of Wyoming. So we moved to Evanston, Wyoming.
And I gotta say, Wyoming is a little bit more of our vibe.
Yeah, it's more laid back.
Nice small town.
Yeah, nice small town, and it got good, friendly people here that we've been meeting, and so it's been a good move. It's been a lot of learning, adjusting, just trying to figure out how life will go here. So, I mean, no move is easy. It's come with its own...
Especially when you have a family.
Yeah, it comes...
It just feels more permanent when you move.
Yeah, and so we bought a house over here, and we've been working on fixing it up, and basically just trying to establish ourselves here in Evanston, Wyoming.
Yeah.
So it's been an adventure. I'm sure it will continue to be an adventure. We've been here for a little over 3 months now.
Yeah.
So been fun.
Has been fun.
Yeah. And with that, we honestly we'd love to update you as well on our training and what we've been up to. No 100-milers for me this year. I think I kind of announced that earlier in our last season. I'd made that decision.
Yeah.
I was able to crew and pace 3 separate 100-milers this fall.
So you were very involved.
Honestly, I felt too involved sometimes because
It's a bit stressful.
I was like, I just moved. I need to focus on getting my house ready for the winter. But anyways, I had these commitments and I love these people. And so I wouldn't miss it. But yeah, it was just crazy. So that was fun. I got out to the Wasatch 100, the Bear 100, where Ryan Head ran both. He's a former guest of the podcast. You can look him up. We're going to have him on in here this season.
On Knack.
Yeah. To talk about those races that he ran. He ran 200s 3 weeks apart. Woo! Anyways, and then
pretty sweet.
My father-in-law, Melody's father,
just did the Pony Express.
Yeah.
And that was awesome.
Yeah.
He'll be on the podcast too to talk about that.
Yeah. I did run a 55K and I ran, as people know, if you listen to my mini series on DC Peaks, I ran the 50-mile course at DC Peaks.
Yeah, that was sweet.
Yeah. So I got in my fair share of running.
And you are getting your workouts in every day.
Yeah.
Still moving.
Yeah. So Melody, how has training and your physical fitness been since moving?
I've been trying to figure out what to say on the podcast for a long time because I really have not been running. Honestly, I've been pretty burnt out, understandably so, after what we just talked about with having a baby and moving, and life has just been crazy. And honestly, I just have been super burnt out. And running was my life before having a baby, and now my family is my life, and my family has kind of taken the place of running for me right now. And I'm still working out. I just recently got a job as a karate instructor and a kickboxing group fitness instructor at the local gym here. So I'm teaching 8-year-olds karate a few times a week. And then on the weekends, I'm doing kickboxing, and I've been lifting weights. I've been doing a lot of physical therapy. I feel like I'm in this season of healing myself right now. I think I went really hard with running for a really long time. And we, as some of you know, we jumped into ultra running pretty quickly. And I have lots of injuries, burnout, and things that I have been working through. And it has felt really good to kind of just be in a season of healing. It's been nice to just focus on putting my body back together and doing a lot of things I've missed, like karate and group fitness. You guys, I love group fitness. It is so fun. And it's been nice to not have a super rigid training schedule. I've just kind of been doing what I can every day. I'm also getting out and walking with Travis every day. I think it's really important that we both get outside, and he really likes it. And we do live at 7,000 feet elevation now. We live on a big hill, so when we go out and walk, it's never an easy walk. That's always a good workout. And yeah, as far as future races go, I would love to do some races next year. I just recently have started to get the itch to start running again. I'm working on bottling up the spirit to run again. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and with that, I mean, it sounds like you've pivoted a little bit.
I had a baby, and I don't even know that girl who didn't have a baby.
Yeah.
Like I'm a different person.
And I think and we talked about this. We were going through this in our last season. We had little Travis was just fresh.
He still is fresh. And
Now he's a year old. But
he's a big baby now.
yeah. But like having a kid helped us nothing helps you realize what's more important than having a kid. And we realized that our family and keeping our family together and whatever was best for our family was best for us, right?
Right.
And I feel you. And like I said, I was talking about all that I did this past summer/fall, mostly in the fall. It did seem like too much, and it seemed like my family suffered, or they didn't get
It was hard for everyone.
I wasn't giving what my family needed to them because I had so many running commitments.
But that's what we knew. We made all these commitments before we knew what it would be like to have a baby,
Yeah.
And we learned.
But yeah, anyways, it made me think about the same thing. And like, obviously that's why I didn't go do 100, because I realized like I had a priority going on here, which was getting a new job, moving my family, getting the house livable for my family.
Season.
Yeah.
That's why we see young people running ultras and really old people running ultras.
Yeah. And that's why the podcast took a pause, because there was just other more important things in our lives to get squared away before we did this podcast. And so with that, Melody, you've made the decision to step back a little with
step
the podcast.
Back, not step away, but step back from the podcast. I'm still going to pop in on episodes. I won't be as consistent as I was before. I'm still coaching. I just don't have as big of a load as before.
And, Melody, and I just want to say that, sure, there might be some people out there that, and maybe it's all in our heads where we think that people are judging us. And they're like, oh, well, she can't handle the load of the podcast. Like, she must be weak.
Honestly, I feel good with the decision.
Yeah.
And I feel like people understand.
And I agree. And I think for the most part, I think if you are thinking that, you shouldn't, because on this podcast, we've always talked about faith and family first.
Right.
And you're making this decision because, let's be honest, the podcast was becoming a big stress last season. It wasn't very enjoyable, because every time we podcast, we have to find a babysitter.
Right.
And then we'd be using a babysitter every week for that. And then we wouldn't have a babysitter for when we wanted to go on a date or do anything else. Exactly. It was just like podcasting was it. That's all we could do together.
Well, and one option was, okay, what if we podcast at night when Travis goes to bed? But again,
he wakes up sometimes and he needs our help.
Yeah. And also we've been working all day, and
that's our time. You're right.
Time to just chill out.
And so you've made that decision to step back, and I think it's an honorable decision to put your family first. And honestly, we talk about faith first. I feel like our faith was suffering a little bit because we're prioritizing this podcast over serving God. And we try to use this podcast to serve God, but it interferes. Faith and family go hand in hand, in my opinion. And so anyways, I'm
just pivoting in our lives right now, and it's a good thing.
And you're now teaching karate and you're teaching kickboxing at our local rec center.
I know being a group fitness instructor has been a dream of mine ever since I was in high school. I've always wanted to do it. So it's really fun to live out this new dream. And
I went to one of your classes today, and it was your element. You were in your zone, and you were fun, kicking butt at it. And honestly, I know you're going to jump in, and I still see you as a big part of Trail to 100.
Oh, Trail to 100 will always be our baby.
Yeah, you are a founder of it. Melody's still going to pop in here and there, but the pressure to be there for every episode, we're letting that go.
It's not going to be an obligation anymore.
Yeah.
It's just, if I have time, if I have the energy.
As long as Travis, all your other needs, our family's needs are taken care of, then you can hop in.
Yeah. And I definitely want to hop in when I can. And
when we have Sally McRae on.
Yep, I'll be there for that one.
Sally McRae, if you're listening, please reach out. Anyways.
Do you think Sally McRae listens to this?
No. Someone, if you guys can send this to her.
So when I listen to her podcast, I'm always like, wouldn't it be so cool if she was like, there's this podcast, what is it called? Trail to 100? And I'll be like, yes.
Sally don't have time for us.
No, but she does listen to running podcasts. She says that in her podcast.
Yeah.
Anyways.
But, so I will continue to move the podcast forward. I feel like I'm in a place in my life where I can do it. I don't tell my boss, but I have a job where I can work on it while I'm at work.
Your boss. Oh.
Anyway, so I've been blessed with a job that allows me to kind of go with both.
Also allows you to train well because we have weekends.
Yes, yeah. So, I will continue to move things forward, and as I am looking, and obviously I'm still gonna fill things out, but I'm looking to hopefully do 100-miler in this next year.
We gotta get you doing 100 next year.
Yeah, the itch is starting to come back for me. So
yeah.
And I'm looking forward to doing that in a different manner with a kid, because I've never trained for 100 with having a kid.
You have to be a lot more creative, a lot more flexible.
Yeah.
And okay when things don't go as planned. It's just different. When we didn't have a kid, we could write out a workout program and we could be disciplined and we could just follow that plan and you never miss a long run.
And if you woke up late, it was okay. You could just go in the evening.
Right, right. But that just doesn't work with a kid. It just doesn't. You never know what's going to happen. Every day is so unpredictable. And that's just the season of life that we're in,
Yeah. And so, I've started actually running or biking. I alternate to work because I was lucky. I have a job
from work.
Yes. And it started out of necessity, as we only have one car, but I've determined this is going to be how I get my weekly runs in. Because I've been trying, like you said, to get creative to figure out how to get my runs in so that it doesn't take away from my family. So that
got a commute to and from work anyways, so
that's going to be my goal for this next year, is to run 100 miles and to run it in a way to where it doesn't take away from my family.
Yeah, and I feel like we're starting to figure out weekends too, because we both have bigger workouts that we want to do. Jacob's long run and my gym time, and I feel like we're figuring out, okay, you get to do your long run Friday, I'll do my big workout on Saturday, or maybe you go do a big workout Saturday morning, and that while I watch Travis, and then we switch, and then you watch Travis and I go do my big workout, so we're starting to get routines down and figure it out.
So moral of the story here is, honestly, we've said this before, but we really do believe this. Running is not life. We can get caught up in these big goals of running 100-milers, and that's great, and there's times to do it.
It's so much fun. And it adds a lot of value to your life.
Yeah, and it does. Yeah, it will change you. But it's not life. There's more important things out there still. And if it's getting in the way of those more important things, then it's okay to step back. It's okay to pivot.
Again, step back, not
step away.
Step away.
Yeah.
I'm not stepping away from running. I'm taking care of myself right now, and I have every intention of coming back when the time feels right. Again, just time and season for everything,
Yeah. And so if you're going through something like that and you're training right now, if you're feeling burned out, if you're feeling like it's not fulfilling you right now, that's okay. And it's okay to change it up a little bit and do something else for
different things. And let me just say this. I am not that woman who had a baby and then jumped right back into running and then was even stronger than before. And I thought that was going to be my story. That was my expectation, actually, because in my head, I'm tough. I can do anything. And also, you see all those women on Instagram and Facebook and in the movies, these women who have babies and they just bounce back. And that wasn't my story. And maybe I'm speaking to the woman right now, but this can apply to men too, maybe had an injury or something else that set you back. Um, and I just want to say that it's okay. And like what Jacob was just saying, it's okay to pivot. But if you're not the woman who has a baby and just bounces right back and gets right back into it, it's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. And honestly, that's way more normal than the woman who does bounce back. And if you are the woman who bounces back and you do just get back into running and you're killing it, good for you. That's awesome. I'm really happy for you. The thing is, just own your story.
Yeah. Yep. Well, I'll miss you, Mel.
Hey,
I will.
Here. I'll be upstairs watching Travis.
Yes. And that's something that I want to point out is
you're going to see me every race still.
Yeah. Like one thing we didn't realize before, or we realized but we didn't realize was, when someone goes out and runs 100-miler, you know who needs a shout out? Their spouse.
Yes. I didn't, and people in the podcast have give shout outs to their spouses before, and I'm like, that's great. But now we're like, no, like they need all the shout outs.
Because we talk about the sacrifices the runner has to make. And they do. They have to sacrifice some.
Oh, yeah.
But the sacrifices the spouse has to make, they're sacrificing time with them. And then they're also sacrificing the help that they would normally have being around. So they're taking the kids if they have kids.
Right.
So it's just more pressure being put on the spouse while the other person is out there getting in these long miles.
Right. And for the record, I know you know this, I'm more than happy to support you. And I know Jacob does a great job of supporting me in things.
But say I just wanted to go run 4 100s this year, I don't think you would support me in that.
No, I wouldn't.
And I
definitely would put.
And I totally get why you wouldn't support me in that.
This is why we're a good team, because you wouldn't even suggest that, so we don't even have to worry. About the scenario.
But anyways, any good thing can turn a little bit selfish if you take it too far.
Right.
Right.
That question that we've asked before, is ultrarunning selfish?
If you take it too far
with a family.
If you take it too far, yes, it can be.
I feel like this is a really straight up real podcast.
Yeah,
this is like we're talking about the non-sexy stuff with ultrarunning right now.
Yeah, and that's how I feel. We can run away from our problems through ultrarunning rather than face them.
Literally and figuratively.
Yep, literally. And I see people do it, and I've done it. I won't deny it. I've done it. So it's, anyways, I love ultrarunning. I'm going to keep this podcast going. And the reason for this podcast is to try to keep it in a healthy, outlook, healthy vision.
And
yeah.
I feel like this is a good message for ultrarunners to hear, because ultrarunning is a big commitment. You need to find that balance.
And obviously I don't call this podcast a Christian running podcast, but we're just being straight up. I don't back away from talking about my faith and my belief in God, and I don't back away when my guests bring that up, because I know God has blessed my life tremendously, and I truly believe that He is my Heavenly Father and that we are His children. And so I want to serve Him. And I want this podcast to serve Him as well, in a sense, and to bring light and love into other people's lives, essentially, is what I want. And so that's why it makes me feel better about myself if I can bring more light and love into the podcast in that way, and more faith, because it it helps me think that I'm
ties into your values.
Yes, exactly. And so anyways, I guess tying it all together, I want ultra running, to be an encompass of
To
my value.
supplement that makes sense.
Yeah.
And we want to supplement our life, not take over our life.
Yes, and not, I don't want to, exactly. And so that's how I see it, as a supplement to my life. If ultra running was taken away, I would hope that my identity wouldn't be taken away.
You guys, I went through and still kind of going through a major identity crisis after having a baby. Have we talked about that on this podcast? I don't know if we have, but you know, I have said lots of times on the podcast how important it is to not tie your identity in it. And when I got pregnant, when I got a baby and I couldn't run as much, I realized how much I'd wrapped my identity up in it. And that was really, really, really hard. And that was one reason I kind of stepped away from the podcast for a minute, because I was just struggling. I was like, I don't know what to say. I don't know where my place is in the ultra running world right now. And anyways, I learned a lesson in not getting your identity tied up in a hobby or a skill. There's so much more to us than our talents or the things that we do.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I guess you've had a hard realization, and I mean, having a baby forced you to figure this out.
Yeah, and
to continue to work on figuring it.
I'm talking like I'm this like veteran mom.
Yeah.
Which I'm not. Oh, you guys, we are learning a lot.
Yes.
As parents.
Yes, we are.
So many mistakes already. Bless the first child.
Yeah.
I'm the first child. Anyways, I don't remember what I
bless yourself.
There's nothing wrong with
anyway, that. Shout out to all the youngest kids out there. But
hey, they get parents who they've practiced, they know what they're doing.
They get forgotten.
Yeah, I guess that's
So, but Mom, I know you haven't forgotten me. She listens to these, so I love.
Hi, Tammy.
Anyways, but we just wanted to hop on and share that change. That most of these interviews will just be me solo, this season, and I've already done a few, and I've definitely missed Mel, but we've had some great guests that have been working to make up for your absence.
Jacob's been telling me about them. I'm super excited to listen.
Yeah.
But I'm just doing another plug. I'm still coaching. Please reach out to Trail to 100 if you're looking for a coach. Again, my roster is smaller than it usually is, but
I mean, you get more attention.
Yeah.
The small is good in my
opinion. True. My focus right now is quality over quantity.
Yeah. So I mean, I'd like to thank every single one of you, the listeners out there. It's going to be an exciting season. Like I said, our mission is to make the 100-mile distance accessible to all, and I feel like we've laid out a good plan, with guests coming on and the stories that they're telling. We've got coaches coming on, some of these coaches, some of the best runners in the world, to give us their top tips and advice for us just training for our first 100.
Guys, the guests that Jacob has got, amazing.
Yeah, I am very excited about this season and how it's going to play out. And Melody, you're welcome to hop on whenever you want.
Oh, I'll be back. I'll be back.
Yes. So, guys, thank you for joining us today. Wishing you a happy election day.
Go vote.
Go vote. Anyways. And remember, if you want to run 100 miles, make it happen.